Ukrainian cities are still reeling from Russia's overnight strikes, targeting multiple regions, primarily Kyiv. But as the fires remain yet to be contained, Moscow has escalated its rhetoric. No threats, no warnings, but a full and final ultimatum that will only result in more and more strikes. Here is what is happening.
As for Zelensky's remarks about ending the war before the end of the year, the war could be ended within a day. We have said this many times before, and the president reiterated it when addressing the leadership of the foreign ministry. To do so, Zelensky would need to order his armed forces to withdraw from the territories of Russia's regions.
Moscow is doubling down on this hardline stance, using a recent Ukrainian strike on a college dormitory in occupied Starobilsk to justify its escalating brutality. The Kremlin claims Kyiv has crossed a line, framing its own massive civilian bombardment as a justified shift in strategy. Peskov warned that Russia is prepared to enforce its terms by raw military force if its version of peace talks is rejected.
If the Kiev regime is deliberately carrying out such inhumane terrorist acts against civilians and children, acts that are beyond the bounds of humanity, then we are dealing with an entirely different paradigm. You can see that systematic strikes are being carried out against the military infrastructure of the Kiev regime in Kiev and other cities. As stated recently by the Russian Foreign Ministry, this practice will continue. As for the negotiation process, we have always said that, regardless of circumstances, our preference is to achieve our objectives by peaceful means. Therefore, yes, we are prepared to achieve our goals through peaceful negotiations. If that proves impossible, if the other side continues to delay the process, refuses genuine peace talks, and rejects serious decisions that could pave the way for a peaceful settlement, then the special military operation will continue.
The terrifying reality of that Russian threat manifested overnight in one of the most violent and relentless aerial assaults of the entire war. Russia unleashed a staggering barrage of 73 missiles and 656 drones across the country. The constant boom of explosions echoed for hours in Kyiv, Dnipro, Poltava, Kharkiv, and Zaporizhzhia, forcing residents into crowded metro shelters.
It was terrible. It's one of the worst I have experienced. I decided to go to the shelter this night, and well, it was the right decision because some drone fall right here, not far from where I live, and it feels very close and very scary. We knew that we were in high risk alert, and we were aware of something ugly would happen, but it was.
By morning, the scale of Russia's systematic strikes left a trail of civilian heartbreak. At least 18 people were killed nationwide and more than 100 injured. In Kyiv's Podilsky and Solomiansky districts, drone and missile debris heavily damaged residential high-rises, trapping families under burning concrete. In Dnipro, a second missile deliberately struck just as rescue crews arrived, killing a first responder.
We heard a sound, and then everything was in smoke. We crouched down. I covered my daughter. Some stones flew into her back, probably parts of the building. It tore her jacket. She says her back hurts. There was smoke, and we couldn't understand if it was the apocalypse or what. Everything was in smoke, and we didn't see anything.
Ukraine has reacted with absolute fury to both the physical destruction and Moscow's political ultimatums. Foreign Minister Andrii Sybiha forcefully rejected the Kremlin's terms, branding Vladimir Putin a war criminal and a loser. Sybiha argued that the mass bombardment of civilians is definitive proof that Russia is losing the conventional land war. and urged Western allies to bypass empty condemnations to immediately supply more Patriot anti-ballistic missile systems.
The only reason for Russia's overnight horrific attack against Ukraine with 656 drones and 73 missiles that killed at least 12, including children, and injured hundreds of civilians is that Putin is a war criminal and loser who has no cards except terror. Moscow is losing on the battlefield. No number of missiles can change this.
As daylight reveals the full scope of the ruin, the distance between a Russian surrender demand and Ukrainian defiance has never been wider. On the ground, shell-shocked civilians are left to sift through the ash of their completely destroyed homes, with Moscow demanding total capitulation and Kyiv demanding heavier weapons to fight back. Raw military force continues to dictate the immediate future.